When Sony released the A6500, the reviewers had no clue how to use the Sony touchscreen. The Sony touchscreen has been here since August 2014, when the A5100 was announced. I have been using the A5100 for 2 years now, and I can say that its touchscreen is excellent for focus operations. I'm going to show how to use the Sony touchscreen in photography modes as well as for video recording. Since I'm not experienced with the touchpad function, I'm not covering it here, however. Now I'm going to show you how to use the touch to shoot function on a Sony touchscreen. Here is a scene. This is at 16mm. I use now the 16 to 50mm power zoom lens. So I just zoom in to around 24mm to make the scene a bit more interesting. So what I'm doing here is just the first thing to do is enable touch to shoot. There is a soft button on the screen with the finger, and now I just enable. This is the first step. When you enable this touch to shoot, you simply just touch the screen like this one, the deer and the jar, and now the telephone post. When I disable that, wherever I touch, nothing's going to happen. So I again just enable that, deer, jar, telephone post. I'm going to show you how touch to shoot works. Metabones adapter, Canon 24mm lens. I'm just unmount the Sony lens. Metabones adapter. Now I'm enabling touch to shoot, and then I press the jar, now the deer, and now the telephone box. With the Metabones adapter and the Canon lens, there is some pulsing or hunting, but actually this is quite acceptable, at least for the style I am shooting. So let me just repeat the whole operation. So this time a Metabones adapter is used with a Canon AFS 24mm lens. I disable. Now I'm now the touch screen, the touch to shoot operation is disabled. So I tap the screen and nothing happens. When I enable touch to shoot like this one, then it works immediately. Yes, of course, because this is not a native Sony lens, there is some hunting. But I guess the touch to shoot, the focus accuracy is excellent with this adapter. So here what you've seen is I used the Sony touchscreen with the Metabones adapter and the Canon lens. Before using the touch to shoot functionality, you should enable it in the menu system. On the gear section on page 4 or wherever in your system, there is a touch shoot set function, and you have the option either touch focus and touch shutter. Just enable touch shutter. This is the touch to shoot functionality. Now you have this option, it is enabled. But when it is disabled, now when I go back to the menu, touch shutter is still enabled. So this is just temporary enable or disable on the screen, this function. However, when I go into the menu and I go to touch focus and I come back, as you see, this is the touch focus function. Again, I'm using the Metabonds adapter. This touch focus function is when I touch the screen, the focus is transitioned when I half press the button. So with this experiment, still I'm using my Canon AFS 24mm on a Metabonds adapter on my camera, and I'm going to show you how to use the touch or tap to magnify function. So first of all, in the menu system, I enable manual focus assist. This is important to enable. And then on the lens, because this is just a Canon lens, there is a toggle. I switch from autofocus to manual focus, and now when I turn the focus ring on the lens, it's focusing. So even I can use the touch screen and focus picking is working excellently. So this is a focus by wire lens, so not really an excellent for manual focusing, but anyway, so when you are done, I'm just touching. So normally when I use the touch screen, I simply use my thumb to pick. So I very often shoot from the left, and when this screen is tilted up a bit, and I use my thumb to zoom into. You see, I simply zoom in, and then I press the shoot button, then I tap here and shoot. So this selecting the focus point with the thumb on this tilted screen is brilliant and makes manual focusing excellent. And this functionality also works while recording video. So tap with the thumb, and then I just, of course, when I'm not in the correct position, I can adjust the position, and I use this lens. I'm going to show you. Okay, so this is how I just turn the focus ring to shoot, and then I now just use the tap and shoot. This works both in video as well as in photography modes. The object tracking. For object tracking is much better to use a Sony native camera, Sony native lens, because it's really shining in autofocus, continuous autofocus mode. Therefore, I'm replacing my Canon lens on my Sony camera with a Sony lens, this time to the 10-18. I am unmounting the Canon lens. So I'm mounting the Sony. I'm going to show you how to use the object tracking on the Sony 10-18mm native E-mount lens. First, I change the focusing mode to AFC, and then it's not necessary, but I prefer this continuous autofocus when demonstrating this functionality. And then the next step is in menu, center lock on AF should be enabled. If this is your primary shooting style, just enable that functionality this way. So the first of all, as you can see, I just press the center button and it immediately recognizes one of the object, and when I just turn the camera around, the rectangle around this object which selected is moving, and then because this is in photography mode, this is the whole idea. I can take any number of pictures. Then I just tap over to this deer, and then I can shoot the deer this way too. And then I just touch to the telephone post, telephone box, and this is how it works in photography mode. Of course, here you can also use the regular thumb style, which I have shown to you. I just use my thumb. This is a big advantage, in my opinion, of the tilting screen rather than a fully articulated. So in a fully articulated screen, you should use the left hand side to touch the spot, but here I can use my right hand thumb to shoot like this one. Honestly, I never use this shooting style. I absolutely prefer just the touch to shoot, simple operation. One more thing to explain. When you touch and you have a object selected and you want to cancel this object selection, simply press this X button here, and then the tracking is disabled. Now I just tap again. You see immediately now the camera jumped into this object tracking. They called it very funnily center lock on AF mode. And when you just want to disable it, just disable it like this one. Anyhow, so this is the object tracking with touchscreen on a Sony camera. Touch focus and touchscreen operations in movie mode. I change to movie mode, to AFE, and now as you can see in the movie modes, you have on a Sony camera you have only two options: continuous focusing, autofocus, and manual focus. There is nothing else. The first of all, then I show you how to use this object tracking, as I've shown. Because object tracking is enabled, I simply tap here, and then object tracking works like this one. Now I press the record button. Now I'm start recording, and then let me just tap over to the other box. So this object tracking works quite fine while recording either. Of course, I can disable tracking. In that case, when tracking is disabled, and then because the focusing mode on my screen is in center, I guess now the focus is moved over to the center part of the screen. So now when I touch again, I touch to this deer, and the focus object tracking starts here, and then back. Oh, yeah. This is the back to the post, and so on and so forth. Tap to snap focus or touch to snap focus. What does it mean? When I touch that screen, the camera started display blinking spot focus, and now as you can see it changed to manual focus. It means that now whatever happens on this on the scene, the focus remains on the touch spot. Now I just tap on the jar, and then the focus is smoothly or quickly or fast, depending on the setting. There are settings in the menu how fast this transition should be done. So now I start recording, and then I show you. Now I tap the deer in the foreground, and then the spot focus, the blinking spot, when the indicator, MF indicator, is displayed, then the focus transition was completed. Now I click back to the jar, AFC, spot focus is blinking. Now it's changed into the manual focus, so no more modification. Then I just tap to the background, onto the, and this is what we call automated focus rack focus with a touch operation. Honestly, the Sony cameras are excellent. With this one, the focus transitions very smoothly because of the phase detect autofocus point available both on the A5100 as well as on the A6500 either. For the next experiment, I'm going to use the Olympus Pen F 38mm f1.5 fully manual pure metal and glass old lens. The brilliant of this lens that it is extremely small, very high quality, and gives your videos an excellent oldish look and feel. Now I'm mounting the Olympus lens on the Sony camera. First I use the quite small and tiny OM Pen F NEX adapter, and okay, it's mounted. Switch on the camera, and then of course, because this is manual focus, on a Sony touchscreen you simply touch to anywhere on the screen and it automatically jumps into this manual focus assist mode, which is what I call magnification into the screen. And now my camera is in f1.5, so that's why it's very shallow depth of field. Now I just tap to the other part of the screen, and this is how tap to magnification works. And of course, my usual method, I use my thumb to focus, and this is how I use mostly manual focus lenses. And then by half pressing the shutter button I can quickly jump back to the full view, the normal view of the screen. So the good thing with this focus magnification is that it also works while recording. Now I start recording, and then I just tap here, and of course I can use the focus magnification while recording. This is actually a quite unique feature of all Sony cameras. Every and each of the Sony cameras supports manual focus assist while recording. Unfortunately, this function is not available on my Panasonic FZ2000. So this is one of the functionality which is excellent in my opinion on Sony touchscreen. This, which is what I call tap to manual focus assist. You see? Practically this is how it works. I just stop recording and the movie is done. Okay, with this next and the last part, I want to show you how the face detection works with a Sony camera. As you can see here on this demo, the face is detected, and then please lean forward and then backward slowly. So the camera tries to keep it's in AFC mode. No, backward please. Okay, now I start recording and now I have started recording. Please lean forward again. The face is detected, and then backwards. Okay, I stop recording, and that was the face detection demo on this camera. It has nothing to do with touchscreen, but it was part of the demos, because face detection could be used quite nicely for selfie videography.